Hello, welcome back to this third part of the Next.js building API tutorial. And in this tutorial, we will see how to use this put and delete HTTP method to update the data or remove the data. So from the previous video, you learn how to create this get method and post method to get the data and to create a new data. When you go to this API endpoint, you see here two data or two products. Now let's go back and implement this put HTTP method. So in general, you will build your API to update the data like this. So open the Thunder client and make a new request. From the request, you will choose the HTTP method as a put. And now here, paste the API endpoint. Now, in general, what will happen after a slash, you will provide the ID of the product that you want to update. And within the body, as a JSON, you will provide the property that you want to update. So for example, we want to update the property price of the product whose ID is second. So let's say we want to keep the price 800. Keep this property name in double quoted. Now when you click on send, it must update the price of the product whose ID is 2. But in our case, we get not found. When you see this error 404 not found, it means we have not created this route segment. So in general, it should be ID, and through this route segment, we will pass the ID of the product that we want to update with the properties as a JSON body. So let's create this route segment ID. So we want to update a specific product. So here within product folder, create a new folder and specify a square bracket, and within a square bracket specify the ID. And you can specify any of the name here like a product ID, but for simplicity, I'm going to keep the name ID. Now, after creating this folder, you need to create a route.ts file within this folder. And here we will define our put and delete method. Now let's define our put handler. So specify here export async function, and the handler name is a put. The first parameter, it will accept a request which is of type next request. And now from here, we are passing the ID of the specific product, like we want to update the product with ID 2. By default, when we send request on this API endpoint, this ID is sent as a string. So here, we need to specify the type of the ID we are receiving. So specify here params, and then params, after that ID of type string, like this. This ID must resemble or must be similar to the folder name that you have defined here like a ID. And if this ID and this ID is different, you will get the error. So make sure this ID and this folder name should be same. Now, what is next step. Next step is to grab the data that we are sending through the JSON body. So for that, specify here request.json, and then store the data into the body variable like this. So what will happen here, whenever we try to update the product, we can update the product price, description, we can update any of the property. We are going to destructure all the property like ID, then title, description, price, category, and image properties from the body like this. But here, when we hover on this property, you can see does not exist on type promise any. So whenever we update any data or whenever we receive a data from the body, it may take us some time, or data will not be available immediately. So we will await it. Now next, we need to find the product that we want to update. So for that, we will need the product index. And for that, in a general JavaScript, you can find the product ID using the find index function. So specify here products dot find index, and then we are iterating over each product, and we are trying to match the ID of each product with the ID provided through here parameter. So when you hover it, it is showing a string, and you can't compare a string with this number. So we need to parse this string into number, and for that, you know that there is a function parse int in JavaScript. Now wrap this ID within that parse int function, and now error is gone. Now after that, we need to store the product ID. So const product index, we are storing in this variable. Now we have the product index that we want to update. So let's update the product. So specify here products, then specify product index to access that product, and then update the property. So here specify ID, title, description, price, category, and image of the product. Now after updating the product, we will return a response, which is a product that we are updating. So products, product index, and then status code, which is a 200 in this case. Now let's again look at this put function. So we use here put function to update the specific product. Now from here API endpoint, we are passing the ID of the product. So when we define here a put handler, we as a parameter, we are passing a params, and the params type is a string, you can see. And make sure this ID and the folder name ID should match. Now after that, we are grabbing the body of the JSON, and then we are destructuring all the properties from the body. After that, we are finding the ID of the product or the index of the product that we want to update using the find index function. And within this, we are iterating over each of the product and grabbing the ID and comparing the ID of each product with the ID that we are passing through the API endpoint. After grabbing the ID, after finding the ID of the product, we are passing all the properties that we want to update here like an object. Then returning response. In a response, we are returning the product that we are updating and the status code as a 200. Now let's try this API endpoint. So let's go back in the browser and refresh it and come back, go to Thunder client, and from here we will make a put request. Here we are updating the product with ID 2, and we want to update the specific properties, which is price, and we want to increase the price to $800. Now from here, click on send, and as you can see, as a response, we receive a status 200 and the properties that we have updated of that product, which is the price. So let's go back in the browser, and now you can see the product price updated to 800. And if you do not see here the image of this product, so this is not problem, but here you need to focus on the property that you are updating. Let's go back and let's implement the next HTTP method, which is delete, to delete the product. So let's go back to the route.ts file. So in this case also, we want to delete a specific product. So everything will be same. Let's go back, specify here export, and then async function, and handler name is a delete. And we are going to grab the parameter because parameter will be same. So copy this, paste it here. And while deleting, we are not passing any of the body. So we will not need here any body. So here specify delete, and let's say that we want to delete the product with ID 2. So we are not passing any of the JSON body. Remove this. Let's go back to route.ts file. So we are not passing body, but we are passing the ID of the product that we want to delete. So we need to find that product in our product array. So we are going to grab this line and paste it here. Now, after finding the product index or the product ID that we want to remove, we need to call a method on array to remove that product. So, and the method is a splice. And to this method, you need to provide a two value. First is the product index, from which you want to start removing the product or removing the element. And second is the number of the element starting from the specified product index. And then you have to specify here within a square bracket as a 0. This means it accesses the first element of the array returned by the splice. After performing deletion, we want to return a response. So return response.json, and we want to send a simple message, deleted successfully, and then status code as a 200. Now let's go to Thunder client, and from here we want to remove the product with ID 2 and make sure to clear the JSON body, and now click on the send. We receive the status code as a 200 and message deleted successfully. Let's go back in the browser, and we can see product is removed successfully. So this is how you can use the HTTP method as a route handler in Next.js to build your API endpoint to perform the CRUD operation. And if you have any doubt about creating this routing like a ID in a square bracket, so you need to watch my previous video about routing. So I hope that you understand how to build API endpoint in a Next.js. So at last I want to say don't forget to subscribe my YouTube channel, and thank you.